Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I am Wiso from FootMexSource.com. This is an hour-long podcast dedicated to all things Mexican football. On today's show, we'll be talking about Chicharito and the best week he's ever had.
Yes.
Is it? Or we'll be talking about the Clasico Nacional. We'll also be ending the show with the Concacaf champions, the final between America and Montreal. Is it best time for Matosas? We'll be making sure we're analyzing all the different things. But first, we'll be talking to our analysts, our experts, Cesar Hernandez. How are you doing, Cesar?
Doing well. It's kind of nice to be I've been like in a better mood than usual. Maybe it's because we're doing the show and it's still sunny out and it's still like daytime. So I'm like in a great mood. I'm thinking about what I'm gonna do after the show. So yeah, I'm pretty positive right now. Yeah, it is kind of nice. Yeah.
Very good. All right, we also have Mr. Tom Marshall, also known as Mexico World Cup, on Twitter. Tom, you moved in. You ready to go now? How's the move coming?
Well, it's not very well, to be honest. Everything's still in boxes. It doesn't help when there's loads of games going on, like the Clasico and the Atlas game, and it kind of ties you up for the weekends.
Very, very nice. Well, we also had Naib Moran that was supposed to be on the show, but he's had some technical difficulties with his sound, so hopefully he can still come in. If not, he will probably be on the chat and helping us out there. But if you're not on it on the chat right now, make sure try to jump on. There's everybody that's there. Ivan Fernandez, Joel, the usual guys that are there will be following around with us. But let's go ahead and get started. Lots and lots to talk about, especially what happened last week. We were mentioning that we were going to have a big week in lots of games, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Lots to talk about, so we'll definitely give you guys the highlights of the week, starting with, drumroll, Mr. Chicharito himself. Best week ever is what everybody's saying it. Best goal of his life. People are talking about what happened on Wednesday. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what, if you missed it, what Chicharito did this week that was very, very important. So I'll give it up to you guys, experts. Tell me your reactions for what Chicharito's been going through in the last week, from the emotional, from scoring to the emotional cry, to the days leading up to his last match on Sunday, to now looking to be where is he going to go. So Cesar, start with you. What's happening with Chicharito over in Real Madrid that everyone's talking about?
I mean, it's definitely a massive, massive time for him. He's finally getting opportunities to play, and when given these opportunities, he's stepped up. There's, as I mentioned on Twitter, there's nothing really more you could ask of the player. He scored the game-winning goal on Wednesday, and he celebrated as if he was winning the World Cup, which a few people don't like, named Thierry Henry. And on Sunday, he scored a brace, or was it Saturday? Over the weekend, he scored two goals. Was it Sunday? Okay, yeah, he scored 2 goals against Celta, and it just shows how effective he could be when given the chance. And it makes you think what he could do or what he could have done with Real Madrid if he were given more opportunities, if he was given more opportunities earlier in the season. It's a fantastic time. It's really exciting. But now the big question is whether he's going to stay or not. It seemed like it was a given that he was going to leave before last week, but now suddenly Ancelotti looks like he's starting to like the player. Now there's talks of him staying with the team after the loan. So it's a very interesting time for Chicharito right now. It's really, really excellent. He's done well. We'll get into this later, but personally, I want him to stop doing well. That way, he doesn't become a really nice commodity for Real Madrid. And that way, it's almost a guarantee that they'll.
So what do you mean you're gonna stop him being?
yeah, it's a very, very exciting time right now to be Chicharito.
Yeah, I think it's just with Benzema injured, I mean, that's the thing. We've got to mention that he's playing because Benzema's injured.
Yeah,
so
most definitely, yeah.
The interesting thing is going to be, and Bale as well, because obviously they can move those guys around, and they don't necessarily need Chicharito to be the direct replacement for Benzema. But I mean, I think that moving in when Benzema comes back, that's going to be the big question.
Yeah.
I think on Wednesday, Madrid are playing Almeria. So that's going to be another big opportunity. I think they've got another big game at the weekend, and then it's the Champions League semi-final. So it's Chicharito's proved himself, but honestly, it doesn't surprise me one bit. I think that the quality of the goals he's a goal scorer. He scores goals, and if you put him in a top team with top players, he will get you goals. So yeah, but I'm happy for him as well because I think that as a kind of Mexican player, he's a great example for others to follow. The way he carries himself, even that emotion. I mean, that was ridiculous what Henry was saying about as if he's won the World Cup. Like, so what? How are you not going to celebrate a Champions League quarter-final winner against your City rivals who have beaten you all season? You have to celebrate that.
And it was interesting how he was criticized for it, and I think the main thing that TT, not to put so much attention to what TT already said, but saying that he was celebrating the World Cup and that Ronaldo did all the work. When Ronaldo, I think it was the goal before that, and as everyone knows, Chicharito did all the work. Ronaldo celebrates that way anyways. I think it's stupid to see that. And,
to be fair, I think Ronaldo did most of the work on last Wednesday's goal. Yeah. But what I love was that on Sunday, both those goals that he created were so much better than Wednesday's goal, especially that second goal where he had the long pass and his first touch was perfect, like dropped the ball right next to him, and the way that he slotted the ball in, it was great just seeing those kinds of goals after the criticism from Wednesday. And I think I will say Wednesday's goal, like that last Wednesday's goal, was basically all Cristiano, but Sunday,
I've mentioned this on Twitter. Look at the way he moves off the ball. I think people underestimate the fact that he taps it in. If you see it, he comes in, he does this little flick back and forth, and the defender totally follows it towards the goal. That's why he's wide open. That's why Cristiano is able to run it. I mean, even if it was just so what? The goal poacher, he's just tapping, which is still, he's a goal poacher, he just pushes it in. Who cares? He still has it. Why isn't everybody else doing that? Why isn't Falcao doing that in Manchester United? It doesn't matter.
Here's the thing with Chicharito, and this is, I think I wrote a story on it, and it's like Chicharito does anything, and it's just so polemic the opinion on it. You know what I mean? He doesn't play. Everybody's gives their opinion. He scores the winner, and it's still kind of splits opinion. It's like, what can he do? You know what I mean? It's like like you were saying, Weasley, people on your Twitter say no, that was Ronaldo, blah blah blah. It's like he scored a goal, he scored the winner. Like, it's brilliant, and then he scored 2 great goals and. And then Miguel Herrera's come out in an interview today in Mark and said, maybe he should take that step down and get more minutes. And it's just, especially in Guadalajara in his hometown, it's like, it's like a graph that's going up, down, but really volatile waves. It's like there's never just a nice, rational kind of thought process surrounding Chicharito.
But why is
my
that?
Opinion, my opinion is because he means so much to this country. In terms of you look around, who's a Mexican outside where you can go to China, India, Russia, England, South America, which Mexicans are known absolutely everywhere.
Yeah,
there's not many. Chicharito's up there, and so the way he carries himself is representative of the whole country.
But you're talking about how polemic, and why is that? Why do we? And I'll be as a Mexico fan, You have a Chicharito where you're like, well, he can't dribble like a Ronaldo, or he can't score like a Benzema, and then he does it. You're like, oh, well, he got, it's like people are always doubting that, his gifts of what he have, and he will surprise you. I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, he's dribbling the ball really well. He did that in Chivas. I remember him scoring from far away too. His long shots. It's a very versatile player. I think in Manchester and England, he wasn't scoring those goals because that's what I think was his direction, to stay in the box and score any way you want. And now you're seeing goals that are being scored totally different because of the space that is given by Real Madrid. And we've seen that before. If you saw that in 2010 with the World Cup with his goal against France, and we see all the Chivas goals when he was up there his last season in Chivas. He was scoring from all over the place. It's not a surprise that he has this, but all the fans are still surprised that with Chicharito, and it's something that I think it's just the way that he is, his charisma, is young. The kid's 5'9", and he's towering over everybody when he's jumping.
That's just what happens when you reach that level, though. When you reach a level just as popular as Chicharito. Look, if Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi don't score for I'm not comparing Chicharito to Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi, although he is number 3 right now for the most
yes.
goal scorer in La Liga. But when those guys don't score for 2-3 games, people say oh, that's a drought. What's wrong with these players? these guys must be having like an awful time right now. And I think when you hit that level that Chicharito has, and you expect constant goals, and when you see him, when he does score, when his most memorable ones are like the ones that are like close to the box, it's going to bring a lot of comments, and it's going to bring a lot of negative comments about the goals that he scores or when he doesn't score. So I think, like I said, it's just the level that he has reached, it's going to continue being that way for a while.
Yeah, and like I said, especially I think in the Mexican context, there's not that many players in Europe playing for massive clubs.
Yeah.
So obviously it's an emphasis. You look at the Argentine and Brazilian players, they can, until they get to that very top level, perhaps go under the radar a little bit more in terms of the press. But Chicharito obviously can't do that.
And I think it's everywhere. I think Chicharito has
it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Yeah, I mean, I think it's something from the United States as well that they don't have up there. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't have the intensity of that press yet. Obviously,
Yeah, and I think even Mexico fans kind of underestimate Chicharito. I mean, if it wasn't for last week, Chicharito wouldn't be starting. It'd still be Gio, and if Vela was healthy, and all of a sudden Chicharito scores, and it's Chicharito's in the Gold Cup for sure. Look at our top, rankings. Chicharito's usually like, on the bot, he's not top 5, barely making the top 5, and bam, he scores this. Oh yeah, we have that. Yeah. And Chicharito's just that type of player. It feels like you want to trust him 100%, and then all of a sudden there's something that he's like, of course, why did I doubt you, Chicharito? But then he has some random, bad, just like you said, Cesar, he couldn't dribble, or he had a one-on-one where he had all those in 2013. I mean, a one-on-one and he didn't do it. You're like, oh, that's right, Chicharito. Even the game in Los Angeles, he didn't trap it well, but then he surprised you. So it's kind of funny how even close fans are like that, and are giving him that much credit.
Yeah, I think the other thing with Chicharito is the type of player that he is. I mean, it's arguable that like a Felipe Inzaghi going back a few years and stuff like that, the Michael Owen even, or Gary Lineker from an English point of view, but an absolute number 9 who plays in the box, who great movement, good finisher. It's like there's not many of those kind of players around right now. But at the same time, for these big clubs like Real Madrid, Manchester United, it's absolutely ideal to have someone like that on the bench. And I think Chicharito has suffered from that. But at the same time, somebody in both of those clubs at some point has come out and said Chicharito is good enough to play for this club. And people can say what they want about Chicharito, but what we've seen in the last week at Real Madrid, what we saw even in that first season with Manchester United, when absolutely nobody expected him to start, he started the Champions League final. I mean, this is a guy, he has proved himself perhaps more than any other current Mexican player at the very highest level.
Yeah. That being said, though, I don't want him. The Real Madrid experiment was fun. He got himself an attractive girlfriend. He's had a good time at Madrid, but he needs he needs to be maybe go back to the EPL, go with a mid-table team, go join Southampton, go join Tottenham. Although Tottenham, more towards the top of the table.
Will he be as successful if he joins one of those, Southampton or if he has his club and he has a 90 minutes? Will he have, the vision that Cristiano Ronaldo would have, or that he had at Manchester United, the midfield that would feed him them, or look at his runs? Would he be as successful there?
I mean, he was comfortable. He's playing in the EPL. He's comfortable there. He knows, the style of play out there. So I think he could easily transition and go back.
Yeah, well, he still scored goals for Mexico, and it's not like we had an all-star mid, so there's the answer right there. Interesting. I mean, I think it's interesting that we bring that up with Chicharito, and I think it's awesome. I think everyone was really excited on that Wednesday, regardless of what happened with the U.S. and the loss and everything. Chicharito totally gave a great highlight of the week for all the things that happened, with America obviously not putting the result in Mexico City. I think the Mexico and the U.S. losing in a sub-22. So it's fun times to have Chicharito, watching him on Real Madrid games. I'm not even a Real man, but I'm watching the games. But fun stuff. Question to you, Tom. And I know that's the million-dollar question this week. Is it beneficial for him to stay in Real Madrid?
Should he? I think it's a difficult one. I think it's easy to say that he should go to this. Like Miguel Herrera today saying he should go take a step down, but if there's that perfect club where he's going to get started and that he's in the Champions League, then yeah, perhaps that is the best way. But I mean, look at those goals he scored against Celta Vigo. They're unbelievable, classy goals.
Yeah.
And I know Karim Benzema is a top quality player, but I go back. I said right at the start when he signed for Real Madrid, Chicharito will have the confidence that he can one day be a starter in this club. And I mean, I know that it still sounds slightly exaggerated to suggest that, but I mean, this is a guy who's played in Champions League finals, he's won the Premier League twice. He'll still think that now he's hitting his prime. Herrera was also saying that he's improved, even though he's not been playing, he's improved, and we've seen that in his touch and his kind of technical ability has got better as well. I don't know. I think that if Real Madrid come in and put an offer in for Chicharito to stay, what I would say it's going to be very difficult to turn down because very few players will ever get the opportunity at Real Madrid, and you know it's a place where you make history. You know, you win Champions League, you win La Liga, and there's not many clubs that are of that kind of elite level.
I think it'll be interesting to see what clubs come up. Supposedly it's this Thursday when they have, up to this Thursday, but I'm hearing that Real Madrid wants to keep negotiations until the end of the season, and then we'll figure out what's going to happen with him returning to Manchester. One thing for sure, Coach Luis Van Gaal definitely does not want Chicharito from his remarks, and I'm not sure if you guys have the actual quote. Tom, were you able to get the actual quote on what Van Gaal actually said? Because a lot of people are thinking that he's saying that, oh well, he scored one goal can't change him, but I think taken out of context, he was talking about players that were benched before and now are different. Go ahead, Tom. I think you have it.
Yeah, he said, right, the only little caveat here, it's for the Daily Star, which is probably the worst British tabloid. And I couldn't find a quote from anywhere else, so I doubt that, Louis van Gaal has given an exclusive quote to the Daily Star. But anyway, this is what he's supposed to have said. Chicharito's future, ? I've sent him away already this season. I said the same as I did to Welbeck. You are again a substitute, and I don't think that is good for you. Then he said, and then asked about whether that's changed because of the goal against Atletico Madrid. He said, when you score a goal, as he has just done for Real Madrid, are you suddenly different? I don't think so. He's basically saying, I don't think Chicharito fits into my plan, and you can't argue with him, to be honest. I think that Chicharito's been there, he had his chance. Van Gaal took a look, was honest with him, and Falcao's not even getting minutes at Manchester United really at the minute. He's not getting regular starts at least. So, I think that I don't know. I think Manchester United isn't an option. I think that the report out in ESPN was 10 million euros. So I think that's I think quite a lot of clubs all around Europe will be willing to pay that.
And even if Van Gaal didn't say that statement, I don't think there was anything that was really pointing for Chicharito to rejoin Manchester United. It didn't seem like he's really said anything.
The fans want him.
Maybe fans in Manchester. Yeah, but I don't know. It didn't seem like there was any real chance that he was going to be joining the team once again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt. I mean, I think people were like, oh, we're criticizing Van Gaal for saying that, regardless if it's true or not. But I think I like the fact that he said, hey, I don't want Chicharito. It's better than the millions of, the other coaches that are like, oh yeah, he's great, it'd be perfect, and then all of a sudden doesn't play him or doesn't bench him. Like he's like, I don't want him, doesn't fit my system. And you're right. If you're a bench player, you don't need to be here if you're a bench player. So great. Now we know we don't want him. Thank you very much, and good luck with whatever you do. So I'm glad that that's there. But interesting to see, especially in the next couple of games, if Chicharito will come back. When Benzema comes back, what's going to happen? Obviously, Benzema is probably the best 9 in the world. So it's not like Chicharito's taking his spot. But I think it's interesting to see that he does have a chance there with so many games that they're playing. So I don't know. I like to keep seeing him in Real Madrid. I think obviously he's there, and I think he's definitely improving from what he's seeing. I even think even just his physical, I just see him as a much stronger player. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but I feel that he has before. But all right, so any last words on Mr. CH14? Beefing with Ronaldo because not celebrating? Nah.
Nah,
that's just Real Madrid.
That's just as everybody like. I don't. I don't know, like if literally one person doesn't like celebrate with another person, it becomes like a news story for Real Madrid. I think it's just us blowing that out of proportion, and I don't think it's that big of a deal.
So funny what everyone looks at. Why didn't Ronaldo go up to him like everybody else did?
Why was Chicharito on the floor? Was he already tired? Was he sleeping? I don't know. A 10-page story on it.
What's happening with the chat? Lots to talk about with the chat, saying hi to everybody there. Roberto, Ivan, Tony, Mr. Eric Gomez is there also pointing out. Haven't seen him and talked to him in a while, but definitely if you're on the chat, go ahead and give us your thoughts, any questions that you do have, making sure we are there. And Mr. Naive Moran is there. He couldn't join us with the soccer show for technical difficulties, so he is there also. Lots of fun stuff happening, around 30 people there on the chat. But let's go ahead and switch over to what happened this weekend in the Super Clasico. Okay, I have a question to ask you guys. Is it really a Super Clasico? If that's a Super Clasico, what is our Clasico? Because I always thought the Super Clasico was Real Madrid versus Barcelona. Just my thoughts there. No?
Well, I mean, growing up, it's always been the Super Clasico. It's been like 5 different things, but like you get a Clasico Nacional, Clasico de Clásicos, yeah. So it's always been the Super Clasico to me. That's what it's always been to me. Yeah.
back to what happened. Obviously, America versus Chivas, very highly anticipated, especially with both of the teams coming in with not winning their previous match. America not winning in Mexico City, and also Chivas not winning in the final de Copa MX. Very interesting to see right off the bat. A golazo by Paola Aguilar that nobody was expecting. Yeah. I think we were tweeting out our top, best 11 for Gold Cup. We had Aguilar. We're like, man, maybe not Aguilar. He's not doing well. Bam! Has an amazing golazo.
I was when you said that too. I was when you said that too. I was like, I don't know. I could see someone like Shaka, like maybe like coming out and taking his spot, and then just like an hour later he goes and does that. Even as a Chivas fan, that gave me chills. Just ridiculous.
He usually does have some kind of shots like that. I think it was due for one. But obviously celebration, making waves, and what the heck he was doing. Then a very for some reason, I'm not going to say boring, but just kind of like what's happening. It could have been because America coming back, Sambuesa, being subbed out at halftime, so not very offensive. America getting a little criticized by Matosas for not being that team, and then obviously Aldo Negro scoring. Guys, what can you take out of this game, Liga MX? Obviously the Clasico is supposed to be the game of the year. Did it live up to its expectations, Tom?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think it did. I thought it was a bit disappointing in terms of the quality of the game. I thought that I expected. I got it completely wrong. I freely admit that in terms of how I thought the game would go. Because I spoke to a few of the Chivas players on the Thursday before, and they were talking about like watching videos of like finding space in behind the fullbacks of America and kind of hitting them on their counter attack, and positionally they're not very good, America, especially when they lose the ball in the transition. So then the game started, and it's like, what's going on here? It's like America kind of were happy to kind of cede possession to Chivas, and with players like Benedetto and Quintero, who are also obviously very good on the counter. I thought they were very happy to do that. I thought in the end both teams were quite happy with a 1-1 draw. And I think that's what it came down to. Aguilar scored a wonderful goal, but how many real chances were there over the 90 minutes? I mean, not many. So yeah, I thought it was a satisfactory result for Chivas because they move on to 26 points. I know it's not mathematically the Liguilla place isn't mathematically secure, but it's virtually guaranteed now. So that's great for Chepo. What a brilliant result. Coming from relegation to top place in the league, yeah. So and he didn't get beat by the big rivals. Whereas Matosas, I think, definitely had a. We'll talk about this in a bit, but a 1-1 draw, it kind of kept the critics kind of back a little bit, and they're right there in the playoffs now. They're in 7th position right now, so all to play for with the last 2 games.
Yeah, it was definitely. I agree with Tom. It was outside of that golazo from Aguilar, like it was a boring game, to be honest. America were happy to be defensive, and I don't blame Matosas at first for doing that because although Chivas had more possession, and they had some decent crosses. They were able to do little with that possession going forward, and it was pretty simple for America to defend that. And while they were still defending, they still had the occasional opportunity as well. So I can see why America was shooting for that more defensive strategy going forward. I think the obvious difference maker was the Nigris when he got subbed in the second half, and he just he amped up the Chivas attack a little bit. And I think it was also, I think I saw Tom discussing this too, that it was I think what was hurting Chivas a little bit was Salcido, because it was his first touch. I think it was his first touch in the game. He went for a slide tackle. Honestly, I thought he should have been subbed out at that point. It looked like a really, really bad bend to his ankle, so I think he should have been subbed out at that point. Yeah. But after that, he just didn't look like he was. I don't know. He wasn't really connecting passes that well. He didn't really look to be, having a good pace.
He's not the most mobile player right now, is he?
Yeah.
When he cracked his ankle, he's even less mobile. So I thought, it was just the dynamism in the midfield. I thought it was, I don't know, just suffered there.
It looked like there was nobody that stepped up for Chivas either. I mean, we're looking for, this is a Clásico Nacional. This is
Aldo,
where you're supposed to go.
Aldo, I think. Yeah,
there you go.
150% to make the ball forward, and then Aldo coming in. Other than Aldo, but I was looking for Brizuela maybe to just come on, have a game, someone to have that gata or whatever that I just didn't see. And the Clásico Nacional.
Fabián almost had he almost had
his golazo.
I think, and there was a second attempt too, which was decent. I thought he was gonna do something special, and that's what I thought before the game as well. But I think once it was 1-1, I think it would have been dangerous for Matosas to try to push for a win, and Chivas were pushing for that second goal, but a 1-1 would benefit them as well. So I don't know, it's the second tie in a row. Their last game was a 0-0, but yeah, it was a pretty boring game, to be honest.
Yeah, I think from the Chivas point of view, again, golazo from Aguilar. I mean, it was a great move building up to the actual finish as well. But I mean, you can see goals like that. Yeah, you can argue that they should have closed him down and stuff. But I mean, if you restrict America to so few shots as Chivas did, I know Benedetto had a chance as well. But over the 90 minutes, I thought Chivas kind of nullified America's attack that's been so talked about. And they're unbeaten at home now in the OmniLife since October the 5th against Atlas. So you're looking forward now to the Liguilla, which Chivas are pretty much in. And you're like, right, minimum, Chivas are a very difficult team to beat at home. All right, you might not get the most exciting games from them. They might not win 3-4-0 regularly. But what you guarantee with Chivas now under Chepo, and Cesar wrote a story about this on ESPN, is that a solid team. That's absolute minimum. And I think that in that context, the Clásico Nacional was absolutely fine for Chivas. I mean, I don't know. From the fans' point of view, all the build-up to this game for me in Guadalajara was Chivas fans. They've been suffering for so long. They finished like 15th, 16th, 17th in the league over the last 4 seasons, and America are like 3 finals and a quarter-final with 2 titles in there. This was the first Clásico where America were ahead of Chivas in terms of titles, and I think Chivas fans were and it was about a 70-30 split, which it isn't usually. Usually it's 50-50, 60-40, but this time it was definitely Chivas majority, and I think they were all just baying for their team to beat America at last after this. It has been a mini golden period for America over the last few years in both the Clásico and in general in Mexican football.
Very interesting.
Going back to what Tom was saying about Chivas, they've been scraping by with the results. It's not like they've had I think outside of the 3-0 win that they had over Monterrey. All their other wins, all their other ties, it's been narrow. It's been very, very close. It's been narrow games. It's just sometimes it's a reliance on the defense, doing very well, and the team being a little bit more organized. But yeah, that's just I guess the 1-1 result shouldn't be too surprising. Although that was just the second time that someone has scored on Chivas in the OmniLife so far this year.
It's funny that we're mentioning how it's supposed to be, but guys, let's be realistic. It's not like Chivas has been doing this for more than a year of playing great football. They just kind of started, and then the football that America has been playing, it's not like it was going to be great. So I think let's settle down and be like a 1-1, pretty reasonable on what's happening with both of them losing against a Puebla and not be able to win against Montreal. What did you guys expect with Chivas and America? It's kind of like I take myself out because I too wanted a great result. The golazo that started, I think it was amazing. Nobody thought it was coming in, and bam, there it went. I'm like, this is going to be a great goal. And then Fabián, if that would have went in, forget it. You know, anyone looking at our league is like, these guys are amazing with two amazing
goals. If
goals.
you would have scored that, kind of would have reminded me of that one goal that Wayne Rooney scored for United. I think it was against Manchester City a couple years back.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. No, it was like Fabian did it against Barcelona. If you remember, he had a golazo against Barcelona, and Pep Guardiola was talking about, of what he was doing. So interesting to hear in the take. And you mentioned, Chivas is pretty much practically in, obviously in Liga MX, and what they have to do, but also America, looking at where they're at in the position that they're at. Let's go ahead and kind of switch over the page to America and what Matosas is doing. How America fans, just like the team Jekyll and Hyde, which America is going to come in. I think America fans are also that way. They're angry. They like it. It's like amazing. And seeing just kind of the reaction on Twitter about Matosas, talking to you, Johnny Rico. I mean, they're still not happy for on what they're doing, and I get it because they're not winning and they're not being the super leader and everything. But what is happening in Matosas, and is it all crumbling down if they don't win on Wednesday? I know you tweeted about, and several people have tweeted about, will he resign? Will he get fired? What's going to happen? And, the Ferrari Amarillo, what's happening with what he's doing, and especially in the Clasico, just on America, Tom. Yeah. I mean, Sambuesa was subbed out, looking very defensive. Was he guarding his players for Wednesday, or that's all that they had?
Well, no, I think it's been overplayed that they were saving all these players for Wednesday. I think Pellerano, and Matosas in the press conference after said that Peralta, when he played in that first leg last week, was more playing with his heart than actually that he was actually physically okay. So he held him back. But apart from that, I think that was pretty much what America have right now. There may be one or two other changes. Arroyo might come in for Madueña, but 2-3 players difference, and that'll be the team on Wednesday. There's a really interesting press conference from Matosas actually afterwards. He was asked about his philosophy. This all-out attack. Let's go forward, move the ball forward. Goalkeeper gets the ball, and within 2 seconds, bang, it's out to start another attack. And he said after the game, my philosophy never changes, but sometimes the coach has to alter plans depending on the players, which is strange because America have some really good players, and Quintero and Benedetto coming in there, you'd have thought that he would have the players to play his game. The other thing that I said, which I think was pretty concerning from an America point of view, was that he stressed how tired his players were and how difficult it's been to play Wednesday weekend, Tuesday the weekend. And he was really concerned about it, and he's saying, we've got another big journey up to Montreal midweek. My players are physically tired. Context, but it's like, wait up, you're going into a continental final with that mentality, and I don't blame him. I think he's right. I mean, America made, like I was saying before, 3 of the last 4 finals. The last 4 seasons, they've made the playoffs on each occasion. And if you make the final of the playoff, you only get like a 10 or 14-day break as a player, which absolutely do. I mean, in Europe, minimum 4-week break, minimum for any player before coming back into the preseason. So you can see how that can catch up with them. And now, I mean, moving forward to the game on Wednesday, you look at Montreal, and America played on April 11th. Montreal played on April 11th in the league. Yeah. Since then, Montreal haven't played a single MLS game.
Oh, yeah, they've had a little bit of a vacation. They've been just resting at home. That's what it looks like.
and America going to the game, having played all these games. All right, Sambuesa came off with precaution at half-time, but is 2 days enough for him to be recovered? Oribe Peralta, how fit is he going to be? I honestly think that there's no better time than now to play America.
But at the same time, even check out just like the backup options that they have on the America roster. Could you really say that, like, I don't know, it's such a it's just a simple argument, but there's a huge contrast in the in the abilities of both teams. And I know that it was 1-1 in the last game, but America has a huge amount of talent, enough to be able to overcome that. And I as we mentioned last week, I could still see America coming out, even if they're tired and there's potential problems with Matosas, some issues in the locker room. I could still see them coming in and like winning somehow, like 5-0, 6-0 on Wednesday.
Yeah, but when are they going to take Montreal seriously? I mean, when is any team going to take Montreal seriously?
Now's the moment. And especially since Montreal are having goalkeeping issues themselves right now with Evan Bush not being able to play, and word is that they're looking for, I believe it was Sean Johnson from the Chicago Fire, and I don't know how that's going to play out. Maybe they're going to have to utilize one of their backup options in Montreal, but I think that Montreal has until by the end of today to figure out their goalkeeping situation.
I think it's interesting to point out. I mean, it's a final, and Matosas obviously, playing 3 games Wednesday, Sunday, and Wednesday is still it's going to catch up to you and what's happening. I don't think they should take it lightly. Montreal's in the final for a reason. Pachuca, obviously La Liga, making sure that whenever they travel to Canada, they weren't playing the best game, especially traveling does hit you. Leaving today, only playing tomorrow, and already starting. You see how it can get somebody tired. Interesting to see what's going to happen. I want to say that we have enough, that America has enough.
Freudian slip. You said we. Someone's rooting for America.
No, of course I am. Any Mexican team. I've always said that. My team Leon, everyone knows that. But Chivas, if anybody was out there, even Irapuato, I'd be like, so it's interesting, on what's actually going to happen on Wednesday. And I'm with you, Cesar. I can see all of a sudden America winning 3-4-0, or getting close. I think. I think it's more interesting of what Montreal is going to play. Are they going to try to go all out? Because I saw an American team that dominated last week, and I saw so many, shots by Benedetto, so many shots that we were there lucky enough for them to 1 to go in or 2 to go in. But I didn't see, the defense from Montreal, we're able to break it like no other. So I can see this team conceding a lot of goals if they're going forward. 1-0, 2-0, it's just be careful of what happens. But at the same time, I think America has a good chance of winning this bad. How they're playing this bad.
I think America get an early goal. I think it should be quite comfortable. Yeah. But the big worry with America is, which team is going to show up, like we've said, but also what condition are they in? They're playing on an artificial pitch. I don't think they'll be affected too much by the atmosphere, but and after the travelling, and I don't know. The things just aren't right there. You can just tell by the body language of the players by watching a live game. Quintero and Benedetto, they just shrug their shoulders at each other. It's really weird to see. And then when Quintero came off in the Clasico Nacional, just him and Matosas just absolutely blanked each other as he came to the bench. So I think that it's not happy camp. I think that John Sutcliffe at ESPN he came out with a story saying pretty much that, and Matosas' job isn't secure. But Matosas is going to need time. I still think he's a great manager. I still absolutely love him as a man. About it, we know how brutal America can be. We know how they sacked, or they got rid, or they didn't renew a coach in who won them the league. So let's not forget just how ruthless this America ownership can be.
If America loses, is it the end for Matosas?
Maybe not immediately, but maybe it'll just guarantee that he won't join again next season.
He wins the Liguilla, because it's not like there's a front runner where there's so much competition and such a great player.
Wouldn't it be funny if he somehow wins the Concacaf Champions League and wins, he gets them in the league and wins it all, but everybody's still unhappy with him, so they still fire him anyways?
That's like Mohamed.
Just like last season. Yeah.
Who would they get in? No, that'd be the good one.
It's like America fans cannot be happy with what's happening or whatever. This Turco got one season after Piojo. It's not like he won the title. I think in the 5th week they were criticizing how Turco wouldn't have done anything. So I think it's just calm down. We'll, wait till the Liguilla start. If hopefully, I think it'd be bad. Obviously, if America doesn't win this. But at the same time, looking at the Liguilla, it's not like Tigres, Monterrey, with the way they started their season, now the way they're ending, Chivas, and even America, I can still see them as a front runner to win. just because of what's happening with how many, done the calculations. Cesar, I know you're a master of the calculations. You're always on that calculator, but how many teams is there that can make the Liguilla right now?
I mean, right now, I believe it's 14 and 18. I'll have to double check since I said I haven't checked in like 20 minutes.
I know that Leon's done.
Yeah, because I think it's León, Morelia, and I think Leones Negros and Puebla are definitely out. So I think it's just between Chivas, who are in first place with 26 points, to Chiapas, who have 20 points and who are in 14th place. So everything's still out in the open. It's crazy that there's even still a small possibility. It's very, very highly unlikely, but there's even a small possibility that even Chivas can not make the playoffs at this moment. And there's only 2 weeks left.
And weren't we all complaining last season that America and the 13th week was already there and all this? It's Liga MX is that way for a reason. We don't even know who's going to get relegated. We don't even know who's in the Liguilla 3 weeks from the Liguilla.
Quick one on the relegation, which is really worrying. But before the Pachuca against Puebla, Jesus Lopez Chagoy was talking to Fox, and he was saying basically they've got a plan B. They've got a plan B in case the team goes down. That the stadium they've got is going to be equal to the OmniLife, the second best or third best in Mexico, and all this. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? Like, obviously his brother owns Chiapas. So there's definitely something cooking there. I mean, if Puebla do go down, then I don't think they're actually going to go down. I think there'll still be a first division team in Puebla. Just reading between the lines, he obviously didn't specifically state it. He didn't say what his plan was, but reading between the lines and the way it works down here in Mexico, I think that I think Puebla are going to be around next season.
I mean, that seems like such a ridiculous thing to discuss, but it's happened before, and why wouldn't someone try to do it again if their team is in danger of being in relegation? But it's interesting that someone would say that when technically, I know it's like neck and neck right now, but Puebla do actually have the slight advantage over Leones Negros right now. I mean, they actually just, I mean, I think overall, like it's like 1.01 to like Leones Negros 1, but it's just ridiculous that that's something that someone would bring up when there's still 2 more games left in the season.
Yeah. It's more of less of a relegation battle and more of like a dive to the bottom. I mean, I think Puebla have got 2 points from the last 21 available, and Leones Negros 2 from the last 15 available. So it's like, both of them are like want to go down or something,
They both go down. Speaking of going down, who's going up? Looks like Dorados, Necaxa. Right.
Necaxa's facing off the winner of Dorados and San Luis, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Necaxa's got it's near Guadalajara, so we'll go with them.
It's got a good fan base.
The interesting one though with Dorados is that they're owned by Xolos.
Yeah.
And so what would happen there? What would they then get sold and moved again, or what's the deal there? Because it's entirely possible.
I mean, they can still be relegated. They don't have the owners till when. I mean, it can still play next season, so it's not like anything has to happen right away.
Is it a few years? When is it?
2017. They reckon it's going to come. I mean, think of the changes. I mean, the word coming from Morelia now is that they're actually going to pump money into it. That's the rumours this week. So then, if Morelia are pumping money into that, Atlas, Azteca are also pumping money into Atlas. And then you look at Pachuca, Grupo Pachuca, and they've got Pachuca and León. Like, they're not going to give up one of those 2 teams because they're both, very good teams. And especially Pachuca, the facilities are, the best in Mexico, and especially in terms of the youth system.
Couldn't they couldn't these companies just start a new company? The resources from one company and put it in the other company.
We still don't think new ideas, man.
It's true. I mean, like if the Martinez, all they got to do is like, okay, son, here's your company. Now you're Grupito Pachuca, and I'll be Grupo Pachuca, and now 2 companies are not owning. It's just one. They'll find a way.
I tell you what, though, it will be fascinating because Mexican football actually needs those teams. And they need those owners as well because they are dedicated to this youth production, especially what we've seen at Pachuca, but also, you look at León with Gallito, Gulit Peña, who obviously isn't doing too well at the minute, but Montes, William Yarbrough. I mean, I know most of them came from Pachuca, but there is a constant conveyor belt of talent going on there.
Yeah.
And you never know when players like that, like if Carlos Peña like plays good for, I don't know, it's easily.
He's been playing better.
He's been playing better, and I think, I don't know, maybe the little Montes coming back has still affected the team for a little bit. Maybe they'll bounce back during the next season.
Pizza, who's affected the team.
Pizza.
Pizza. All right. Well, guys, we talked Chicharito. We talked the Clasico, the Champions League. Liga MX. What are your predictions on? Looking at it, I think we did this last time, about 3 weeks out, on who is the front runner to win the whole Liguilla.
Yeah.
To see that, but I don't see anyone. I can just Tigres.
I want to say Tigres. Well. I want to say Tigres, maybe, but with a couple of Libertadores as well. At some point, that's going to come into, it's going to factor into play. And honestly, right now, you look at Chivas and you think that, why not? I mean, right at this moment, why not? You know what I mean? They're the team that are grinding out results and not losing, and that's what at the end wins your titles.
And as we've seen in the recent playoffs too, like a strong defense can definitely take you pretty far in the playoffs. And with the current rate that their defense is, then I think that they can probably go pretty far. I agree with the Tigres thing too.
You can't predict anything, Cesar, because it's strong offense from León. I mean, Liguilla is a Liguilla. There's it's so funny how we try to always say, oh, this team, and then all of a sudden, I didn't think America was going to win last season, and then look at that, what happened with Tigres. It's funny.
I mean, I guess if we're going like that, all right. So Pachuca's going to win it all. That's my prediction.
Pachuca.
Pachuca winning.
They're coming up though. They're coming up unbeaten in 5.
Yeah. No, they're doing really well. They're almost as good as Pumas and Querétaro in their recent form that they've been having too.
Yeah. Hey, they're all ending wrong. Everybody's ending really strong, except Leon.
Yeah.
Which by the way, up 2-1, misses a penalty kick, up a man, misses, then down again one man and loses the game.
Yeah, that was yours for the taking. I don't know what happened there. That was some awful stuff right there. That could have been your first win since what, 2011?
Since the championship? Since we won the Bicampeonato? Is that what you're saying? All right, predictions, guys. With the what happened on Wednesday, think really hard because we're definitely going back next week and say, Tom, this is what you said. You were right. You were wrong, as we were doing. But our predictions haven't gone very well. If you've noticed on anything we've been predicting on, any predictions we've had with the Mexico game, with the Mexico Sub-23 game, with the America Montreal game, so be careful. All right, on what's happening. So go ahead, guys. Take your predictions, and then I will ask all of you guys that are on the chat predictions too. So we'll be talking to you guys too on what your predictions are for the Montreal game. But go ahead, take it away, Tom. And why?
I'm going to say Montreal are going to lift the cup.
Ooh.
I think that, I just think America are in pretty terrible shape, and from what I saw with the Clasico, I know they grinded out that result there, but I just don't think they're going into this game in good shape. With the travelling, I think the tiredness is definitely an issue. I think playing on turf as well is a bit of an issue. And I don't think there's any kind of union between Matosas and his players. I don't think there's much relationship between some of the players that he needs. I think there's going to be 1-1. I don't think Montreal are a particularly good side. I mean, they've only won 1 of 5 games in the Concacaf Champions League knockout rounds. Just to put that in perspective, they only won once. But I just think they're going to grind another result out, and I think they'll lift the trophy, and the world's going to cave in on America, and it's going to be talking for the next week about Matosas and his future.
Come back to Leon.
I'm going with a 1-1 that goes into extra time, and I think America are going to win it in there. But to be honest, as I mentioned, I want both teams to lose. I don't know how that's possible, but I want both to lose. I don't know. Maybe they all get enough red cards, or they cancel the game and somehow give it to a third place team.
Why do you want this result both to lose?
I don't know. It's just because I don't like they did the Montreal attack. I mean, I know they've devoted so many of the resources to doing so well in the Concacaf Champions League, but they're like the worst team in the MLS. They're definitely
apparently they're going to be region champions, and we'll be heading off in the Club World Cup.
I know we're ending the show, but I don't know, man. I don't think it's that big of a deal to win the Concacaf Champions League. I think Atlante won it back in 2008, 2009, and look what's happened to them. I don't know. It's just I don't think it's that big of a deal, and I think it's a sometimes it's an unfair kind of like ruler that people see it just like, oh, obviously Liga MX is doing much better or MLS is doing much better. And I don't think it means that the MLS is a much better league if Montreal win it.
No, definitely not, but I think it's another one of those, especially for the rivalry talk. Obviously, Mexico has had a huge, the dominance of having a Mexican team going, even though they stink it up in the Club World Cup. From what, looking at, if America does make it, they're going to try, from what Peláez and, saying that they're going to try to be competitive if they do win, but obviously it's there. I'm going to go with America doing something that nobody expected them to do, just, Benedetto finally clicking in with Sambuesa. What happened with Heredia, and with also happened with Saprissa. You've seen that happen. That's the thing. You've seen them, work well. You've seen what they can do, and I hope that I'm just gonna go with like a 2-0, 3-0. America wins. Why would we doubt you? Águilas, of course, finally click in, and everything's gonna be it's gonna be fine, and that is gonna be my prediction. But interesting to see, guys. All right. Well, I asked the chats what the prediction is for the chat. Let's see what everyone is saying. My prediction: America drops 2-1. Let's do it, boys. So I guess that's not a fan of America. 2-0, 1-0. Kind of splits. I think we'll see maybe a lot of their clubs, especially Chivas fans, saying no, do not win. But we'll see what happens there. Anything else, guys? Anything important, especially with Mexican football, aside from maybe Layun? Congratulations for him going now into the EPL. Which, if you can't start in the championship, how great is it going to be with better competition? I don't know. That's just my taking. But anything else, guys, for the show before we end?
Tigres in Copa Libertadores on Tuesday against Universitario down there in Bolivia. I think Tigres probably, if you put best team this season, best Mexican team, I think it would be Tigres for what they've done, not just in the league but in the Copa Libertadores as well. Just strolled through the group, so big game for them. And there really is a real union at the minute between Tuca Ferretti and his team, and tactically. Thought they were 3-0 up at half-time against Querétaro. Querétaro came back into the game. Tuca Ferretti took off Arevalo, put on Briseño, switched to a back five, and then all of a sudden just shut up the game. And I think that they're a very mature team tactically, and I think that goes a long way in the Libertadores. So big game for Tigres.
Big game for Tigres.
Yeah, definitely agree with Tom. I just before the podcast I finished my Liga MX power rankings, and I put Tigres as number one. They're definitely I don't know. They're going to be a tough team to face in the playoffs. And then, once again, like everybody was saying, a big congratulations to Layun and Watford. It should be exciting, although probably like half the guys on that team aren't going to be there next season. But it's going to be really, really exciting to be watching that in the EPL.
Good. I have to say, before we leave, Cesar with that Selena shirt that you have on, the Slayer.
Yeah. Pretty cool, right?
You didn't even notice it, me.
Oh, you didn't even notice that? Oh my God! Anything for Salinas, man.
Anything for Salinas. Great quote. All right, guys. Well, this has been the Mexican Soccer Show. Thank you to all on the chat. Thank you for joining. I know we're starting a little early this time, but that way you can see it later on the day. Obviously, make sure that you are retweeting, and if you have any questions, any criticism, constructive criticism, of course, then definitely email us or also tweet us out. Thank you so much, all of you, for watching. Thank you to the guys on the chat, Naive for staying, and everyone that's there. Obviously, lots of conversation that's going on. Keep watching the Mexican Soccer Show on Mondays, and sometimes we have some special ones. Thank you to Cesar, Tom, and Naive, who had a Clasico special on Friday. I wasn't able to join, but it was a lot of fun. So you'll never know when we have some special ones of what's going on and how and following along. But thank you so much. See you guys next week. This has been the Mexican Soccer Show. Hasta luego.
See you later.